Currently recording. Okay. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Forza Italian Football Podcast. It's our first regular one of the season. I'm still Conor Clancy, and Kevin Pogorzelski is still here with me. Kev, hello.
Hi Conor, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks, mate. How are you keeping?
I'm good. We're bank holiday here in the UK.
Yeah, we've not got that luxury here in Italy, but we do have the luxury of going to the games every week. First mention of that of the season. There you go. And thankfully, returning to help me hold Kev's elderly hand across the street this week is Vito Doria. Vito, we missed you last week.
Yeah, I missed being on the pod, but I still enjoyed listening to you two as well as Vieri in my absence. So that was a good pod, and hopefully this pod is an enjoyable one as we review an exciting opening round of Serie A. Probably one of the best that I've probably witnessed in my lifetime anyway.
Vito, it's always an enjoyable couple of minutes or a couple of hours chatting when us three get together. So I am fully confident it will be the same this week. Kev, tell me something fun from your summer.
Well, I had my gallbladder removed.
I said fun, didn't I? I mean, I did say that.
I got 3 weeks off work in the sun. How much more fun do you want that to be?
Were you allowed to be in the sun?
Well, I don't ask, I just do. That's my motto for life. Don't ask, but do.
There's the name of the podcast.
Nike, just do it.
Just going to write that one down. Vito, anything interesting happened in your summer?
Well, since I'm based in Australia, it was rather uneventful. But I'm looking forward to actually going to your side of the world in the next couple of weeks. So that's what's got me buzzing at the moment.
That's coming up very soon, right?
Well, I live 2 weeks today, so it'd be great to actually witness some games in person. You know, I haven't been to Europe in 8 years, so it's a long overdue trip. And between UK, Germany, and Italy, I'm hoping to see as much football as possible.
Yeah, and it will be good to have you here in Parma for some tortelli or cappelletti or whatever it is you fancy having to eat. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, guys, let's start where this week's Serie A action finished, which was this Monday evening. Inter welcomed Lecce to the Stadio Giuseppe Meazza, and they thumped them. Welcome to Serie A. It was 4-0. Marcelo Brozovic and Antonio Candreva scored very, very nice goals, while debutants Stefano Sensi and Romelu Lukaku also got off the mark. Kev, are Inter right to be getting a little bit excited, or should they remember that this is Lecce, who literally everybody has expected to get relegated, except for Marco Jackson?
Well, as you know, I predicted an Inter title this year. So,
you did, I forgot that.
I think I should probably allow the Interisti to get as excited as they are about this win. I think Lecce actually did play quite well, and there were positive signs from Inter regardless of the opposition. I suppose you just got to look at it back on a comparison of what they maybe didn't have last year. You know, they had goals in Mauro Icardi last year, but Conte's got them looking very cohesive already in a sort of a new 3-5-2 system. And there was lots of positive signs throughout the evening, really.
Okay, Ken, but it was Lecce.
Yeah, I mean, what's the old phrase of you can only beat what's in front of you? Yeah, I think Inter Inter fans should be optimistic and should take. It's one of those things. If it had gone horribly wrong and Lecce had stole a win, you're instantly on the back foot. And I think Conte knows how important it was not just to win, because I think even they would have been slightly on the back foot even if they'd only sort of struggled to a 1-0 victory tonight. I think so. He drove them on to sort of get that real statement like victory.
Yeah, well, it does help, right? Getting these, not to be disrespectful, the easier fixtures out of the way early in the season. Vito, they go to Cagliari next week, and then after the international break, they've got world beaters Udinese in Milan. But they could put together 3 wins there before the Milan derby in the mid to end of September, and then who knows what happens.
it's very important that Inter gets off to a good start under Antonio Conte, and they've done that. And also the way they scored the goals too. Probably the Lukaku goal was the easiest or the most simplistic of the three. The rest of them were rather good strikes. As for the up-and-coming fixtures for Inter, it's good to sort of capitalise on the good results and on paper weak opposition. So if they can get good wins early on the season, I think it would be very good for their confidence and to also help build the total challenge if they really are serious about making a threat for Juventus or threatening them.
Yeah, well, they have, according to Antonio Conte anyway, they have lost Mauro Icardi, despite him taking the number 7 shirt and still very much being at the club. The coach doesn't seem to recognise him as a player. But big Lukaku, Romelu Lukaku, Kev, he's up and running. He always scores in his debut, and he carried that trend over to Italy with him.
Yeah, until somebody tweeted that, I'm sure it was one of our team. I hadn't remembered his knack of scoring on his debut, but it's he had a great evening. He outmuscled many a defender. He was very direct and very powerful, and I kept sort of sitting there watching and thinking how Conte had alienated Diego Costa at Chelsea when he sort of kind of went there in that second year. And this is exactly that type of striker that Conte wants to lead that line, and he'll get his fair share of goals this year. And actually, more importantly, was probably that him and Martinez, who probably didn't have the greatest of games, actually looked like they could create a pretty decent partnership quite quickly.
This is something I do expect from Inter this season. As much as I was hesitant to get too excited about them last week, I tweeted when Lukaku joined that I'm not quite sure how he's going to fare in Serie A, but him and Lautaro could really strike up a good partnership. They just seem to have traits that would really nicely complement one another. And you could see Martinez benefiting from space being created by Lukaku just being himself and kind of drawing other defenders onto him. Vito, Stefano Sensi is quite a good little footballer.
He certainly is. He's even getting into the Italy national team, albeit not as a starter. But I liked him at Sassuolo. Short player, but good user of the ball, knows how to pick the right passes. And under a coach like Antonio Conte, I can really see him improving as a player. That strike in particular, though, that was really something special. So if he can add more goals to his game, I think he can really be a top quality midfielder for both Inter and even the Italian national team.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to be at his very best level, especially with big Antonio Candreva doing bits alongside him. What a goal! What a player! What a man!
I saw the Candreva love on social media, and you know very well that we discussed this before we came on air.
Oh, I don't remember. You'll have to remind me.
Brilliant goal. I fear that he might have scored this too early because when all his detractors get on his back about 10 games in, he could probably do with scoring on game 10 rather than game day 1. But actually, I just thought he didn't have much to do. It wasn't that he played poorly before scoring that goal. It's just that Inter always constantly seemed to be looking to the left-hand side. All of the time, Asamoah was that out ball higher up the pitch, and Candreva was kind of left to maybe concentrate a little bit on his defensive duties that he's maybe not used to in a wing-back role. But they are, for the more difficult games, going to need more output from him when he does have the ball. He does still have a tendency to throw over the odd dodgy cross, if you like. His delivery was one of his plus points as a player, but the odd ball just drilled along the floor that the defence easily sort of clip away is probably a bit more that Inter want a bit more from a wing back.
Yeah, and he does tend to shoot a lot, right? So I think there's a case here of it being a matter of even a blind squirrel occasionally finds a nut. Am I being a little bit too harsh on Big Antonio, or is that fair?
No, I think I'd agree.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Candreva. He's a lovely guy, actually, isn't he? Didn't he do some very nice things for an underprivileged school child's family by paying for all of her school meals and books or something recently. So we like Candreva. Let's not pick on him. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, there was no Nicolo Barella. Vito, this guy should be holding this midfield together at Inter this year.
I would have thought so, but since it was just Lecce, with all due respect to Lecce, I'm just hoping that eventually, against stronger opposition, Conte integrates him, because if Inter have a loss soon down the line, I'm sure those questions will be asked rather quickly, and you'll have a lot of people in the mainstream media or on social media going, "Where's Barella? Where's Barella? Conte should have played Barella." So hopefully they make the most of it, but once they drop points, those questions will be asked more frequently and the voices will get louder.
Yeah, Kev, do you reckon it's a case of Matthias Vecino being the man to drop out for Barella before too long?
Yeah, I would do. I just would say that Vito makes the point about if they were to be losing points, but I thought Lecce was the ideal opportunity to sort of blood him. A game where it wasn't much riding on it. We kind of expected it to play out the way that it has done. And it would have given that experience of the San Siro, and well, not that he's not had that experience of the San Siro, but you know what I mean, just a slower integration, just right from the start. Just say, he's my man in the middle, start of the season, because if Vecino then goes and has an excellent 6 or 7 games, it's really hard to drop him. And if Conte is adamant that this young man is going to, have the side built around him, why don't you just say, look, it's your ideal excuse to just put him in straight from the start?
I'm inclined to agree with that. I spoke on the preview pod last week with you and Vieri about how highly I rated Vecino. Or not Vecino. I don't rate him that highly. The other boy. Barella. That's the one. Right, moving quickly on. Fiorentina 3, Napoli 4. Napoli signed Costas Manolas this summer to form probably the best central defensive pairing in Serie A. But neither them nor Fiorentina really wanted to defend on Saturday evening, and we were served up a treat, Vito. This was one of the most enjoyable games that we'll probably see all season.
Definitely. Both teams, they played to attack and to put on a show, and for the neutral, we definitely got that. Of course, there was a touch of drama and controversy, as typical of Italian football, but I think the quality of the football displayed by the two sides and their endeavour, I think that was great to see. And although Fiorentina were on the losing side, they had a few younger players, especially Italian players, that probably look like they might be half-decent footballers and might even establish themselves in the first 11 despite the presence of some newly purchased veterans.
Who in particular are you referring to?
Well, I thought in midfield, Gaetano Castrovilli had a decent game, but also Riccardo Sotil on the wing. It might be a bit raw, but I think he's a kid with a lot of potential, and he's another one from the Fiorentina Youth Academy like Federico Chiesa.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of young players, I'm going to move the conversation away to someone who was once young but has evolved into a prince. It's big Kevin Prince Boateng. Kev, come on. He's amazing. He's one of my favourite players in Serie A. I'm so happy he's back. And what a goal.
Yeah, when he took his goal, I was remembering what Vieri said in last week's preview pod about him becoming sort of a focal point, someone that you can hit and then get the players around him, particularly the faster players like Chiesa. And he did exactly that. It was a really, really good goal. But something else that came up in the pod last week was you asked me how they can turn 16 draws into wins to improve. 17 draws, and it was just defend better, along with Sassuolo. It's like, they're still making these awful defensive mistakes. And I'm actually concerned about the goalkeeper, whether they've actually got a better goalkeeper now after Lafont's gone.
I think Lafont's a big loss.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. And the goalkeeper flapped at the one of the long range efforts. Can't remember which one it was now. I thought he could have done a little bit better. He got a hand to it before he went. It must have been
the Mertens goal.
Yeah.
So, Kev, we're one round into the Serie A season, and you've already picked Dragowski as your new
Robin
goalkeeping
Olsen, yeah.
target. Yeah, didn't take long, did it?
No.
Why do you hate goalkeepers? You're like Gary Neville.
I don't. Well, maybe I'm
hate
just harsh.
goalkeepers.
I've never been a goalkeeper either. I'm one of the worst goalkeepers in the world. I would be the last man picked if every other man got sent off on a football pitch. But I'm just a harsh critic of everybody.
Yeah, except for me. Speaking of goalkeepers, we'll have a moment about another one in a very short amount of time. But let's stick to this game. There were some controversies, Kev. A couple of penalty decisions. Firstly, let's go with the Fiorentina one, because it was a handball by the letter of the law. It's a penalty. It's a handball. But, oh my God, how on earth can you give a penalty for that? It's a completely ridiculous rule.
No, absolutely. And I think the only thing that kept me sane with this was that both sides had, let's say, farcical
Oh.
And yeah, it's the only thing that keeps you sane sometimes is that you have games like this where things kind of level themselves out because of the stupid calls. But there's been discussions for every league probably that's using VAR at the moment that the interpretation or the use of the handball law just needs to change, really.
Yeah.
You can't really blame defenders for that. It's, what can you say? Is it the law is an arse?
If you say so, Kev. If that's what you say it is, then that's what it is.
Mm.
Yeah, well, Vito has very kindly just pointed out in the comments we have going that Lorenzo Insigne deserves a lot of praise. So, Vito, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, sorry. I reckon it was one of the best games Insigne played, to be honest. That he was involved in all 4 goals, scoring 2 himself and then providing the assist for both Mertens and Callejon. So it goes to show that even if you're not always involved in the game, you can have those moments where you make a difference. And in this case, Insigne definitely did that. What I found hilarious is that he scored the winning goal with a header, and he's one of the shortest players on the pitch.
Yeah, well, football tends to throw up funny things like that. I really liked the goal where it was Mertens played that typical Napoli ball over to the right for Callejon, who knocked it back in for Insigne. Was that goal, or did Insigne knock it back in for Callejon? I can't remember, but anyway,
that was the 4th.
Yeah, usually it's Insigne who plays the ball to Callejon, who knocks it back for Mertens. So kind of like that. They just swapped roles so seamlessly. It was quite nice. What else have we got to talk about from that game? Anything? Oh, Dries Mertens. That penalty was weird, wasn't it?
It was not a penalty.
How was that given? I don't understand.
You literally see him look down and think, there's a player by my feet. Let's just shimmy along into his legs.
Yeah.
I would have been apoplectic with rage if I was that defender. I'm surprised there was not some old school chunk of his shirt in someone's hand as sort of Milinkovic is towering over him, complaining about the dive in inverted commas.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. But can we move on? Let's move on. Let's come here to me in Parma, guys. I've been waiting for you. Juve came and they left with all 3 points, obviously. It was Maurizio Sarri's first game in charge, kind of. He wasn't in Parma, obviously, as he's still recovering from pneumonia. We wish him all the best with that. They were a little bit different, I guess, in that they tried to move the ball a little bit more, but obviously it's still very early days. I don't know, Vito, were you impressed by Juventus?
I noticed there was that change of style, but you look at the scoreline, still the same Juve in that aspect. But I thought more than anything, Cristiano Ronaldo was extremely wasteful. He probably should have had a hat-trick in the first half, and that's not including the goal that got disallowed. And he probably should have scored a few more in the second half. So it's early days, but as the season progresses, and especially in the big games, particularly when they are playing in the Champions League, you would think that Cristiano Ronaldo would be switched on and he would be putting those chances in the back of the net.
Yeah, honestly, he was terrible. He should have had 2 goals very, very early on. But this is twice now. He's come to Parma and been laughed at, which it's quite funny to watch because he's obviously brilliant, right? Don't get me wrong for a minute. He's obviously one of the greatest players that has ever played football. So when it's not going his way and people are openly laughing at him, it is quite funny, especially because he is the way he is. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that. And then, oh, let me tell you guys, there was a sickening moment in this game. And I mean, I've never felt my stomach turn at a football match before, but the Parmigiani who support Juventus gave me that very feeling this weekend, because as tends to happen when a bigger club comes to Parma, the whole end basically is away fans. The official bit is in the middle, whereas they get 2 sides of the official bit as extra away seats. And when Ronaldo scored that goal that was chalked off, he ran over to the corner and did his big celebration. And this is at the far end of the stadium. And he did his big, the "See," and as he did it, about 3,000 fans all shouted that. And it was disgusting. So when the goal was ruled out, I had a big laugh. It was quite enjoyable. But anyway, enough of that. Juve's selection, Kev. Sami Khedira played, Blaise Matuidi played, and Gonzalo Higuain played wearing the number 21 shirt, which I could not get my head around even as the game progressed. And what was this about?
Maybe that's the price they want for him.
What, 21 quid?
Well, maybe 21 quid. Maybe that's all they'll get for him. No, it was very strange. It's too early in the season for them to be actively selecting a B side so they can sort of tout around their wares. But they're in this scenario where they've gone very early in the transfer window to get in what they wanted or what they needed, depending how you look at it. And now they've got this excess of playing staff that they need to get off the books. And whether it actually works as a reminder to some clubs out there that are still operating in a transfer window that they can have these players is one question. But on the flip side of that, it was where they didn't play the likes of Matthias de Ligt. I know you've got the historical partnership between Bonucci and Chiellini, but the young man we're led to believe went there because he had assurances over the amount of playing time he'd get, as opposed to if he went to PSG or Barcelona, who were the other major suitors. Yeah,
well, there's a Dutch journalist out here, Aaron Deckers, who Dov is friends with, and he was in Parma for this, and I got chatting to him a bit before the game, and he was a bit frustrated because he kind of came down to watch him, and obviously he was left on the bench, and he wasn't very good in pre-season. Juve haven't been all that impressed with him on the pitch, so maybe it's just a matter of time. Give him a couple of months learning from the others, and then he'll be in the team. Because we saw him at Ajax last year. He's a phenomenal player, and he will add a lot to this team, particularly as they go forward in all competitions. But can we talk about Parma for a little bit? I'd quite like to, because I think they've got a lot more about them this season as opposed to last. Gervinho's still his frustrating best and worst at the same time. Roberto Inglese wasn't quite at his best, but he tried. But they've got Gaston Brugman in midfield, and he looks like he could be a really good find for them. I think he's on loan from Pescara, and he was just sitting in front of Bruno Alves, who has lost his defensive partner in Alessandro Bastoni this summer, so he'll need that extra protection. And he was quick to cover ground, he was getting into tackles, and he was very, very technically sound. And he seems to be the designated set-piece taker as well when Bruno's not fancying a free kick. So he's a player that I would recommend keeping an eye on this season, and I'm certainly looking forward to watching him as the season goes on. And then also, the boy I pointed out in the preview show last week, Dejan Kulusevski, he's on loan from Atalanta. he's raw, but there are definitely signs there that he's a player. Some of his touches were just fantastic. There was one where the ball came down over his head and he put his like a scorpion kick on one foot, and he executed it very, very nicely. And something that always impresses me with young players like this, and bear in mind it's a Serie A debut against Juventus, and Cristiano Ronaldo's in that Juventus team. He was just always looking for the ball. Every time Parma got it, it didn't matter who had it. He'd be coming into space looking for the ball. He misplaced a couple of passes. He took a couple of risks that he probably didn't need to take. But even after that, just looking for the ball straight away to try and make up for those mistakes. I thought it was quite an admirable performance from him. He's one to keep an eye on. I alluded to the goalkeeping thing, Kev. Luigi Seppe. I mean, what's the point? What is the point in this guy?
Yeah, I saw this. I saw your tweet post game, and actually, considering I am anti goalkeepers, I actually give him. Well, I don't know if it's less I give him a little credit. I think there's an element of what more do you want from a goalkeeper at that level? There's a level of what I've got. The level of goalkeeper that you can obtain to do the jobs that you need to do. Because I then look back really critically, if you like, at the mistake that you would have said that he made for the goal. But I don't think a centre half does much better if they get their head on that.
Kev, watch your mic. You're covering your mic.
Am I?
You were in bursts. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think any goalkeeper that clears the area with a punch or defender with a head and then it comes back in from a volley, I'm not sure how we can be too scathing of what they've done there, really.
Right.
And he's not a bad shot stopper. He's got problems with his distribution. I don't know. I think
the only thing he's not terrible at is shot stopping. He pulls off some remarkable saves, and every year there's bound to be a contender for him in the save of the season compilations. But there's nothing else he does that's anything more than terrible.
I think if you're let's say a bottom third or even a bottom half side, you're expecting your goalkeeper to face lots of shots. So you want a shot stopper. Whereas if you're top half European football and you've got a better defence in front of them, then you want someone that's either good with their feet and their distribution to build attacks, or someone that's extremely good concentration-wise when they're only going to face that final. Look at Roma last year. They went from a goalkeeper like Alisson, who, when he needs to face chances maybe once or twice in a match, he's been crucial for Liverpool in the last 12 months. And then they get a Robin Olsen he's got lack of concentration, and then he was actually flapping at shots as well. But
right. No, I take that, but I'm not asking for him to be the best distributor of the ball or for him to maintain his concentration. His positioning's horrendous. The number of times you see a shot go in, you think, I don't know how the space was there. There was an Atalanta goal last year. I think it was Mario Pasalic's goal, and possibly one of the others, where Luigi Seppe just basically showed him the net. And then it's any time the ball comes into the box, you just think, Luigi's going to do something here. The only time you fancy him is if someone pulls off a shot for the top corner from 30 yards, he'll get to it. If a cross comes into the box, you can guarantee he won't deal with it. Or if he does, he'll go about it in the most difficult way imaginable. He'll drop it and then pick it up at the second chance. He'll flap it and then catch it. He's a goal concession waiting to happen every time the ball goes near him. And even with shots, he's only good at shots that are hit away from him. If a shot goes towards him, he drops it. He flaps at it. He's horrendous. I really don't understand why he's playing for Parma. I take your point, they're a bottom third side, but they could do better than him. Stopping shots is the least you expect from a goalkeeper at this level. And he can't do anything else. And he drives me mad. And I'm not a Parma fan, but going and seeing him play every other week, he drives me mad.
So where do they go?
Anywhere, Kev. Look at Etri Barisha, okay? He was Atalanta's second choice last year. He's gone to SPAL, and he was amazing at the weekend. He's got question marks around him as well, for sure, but there are goalkeepers out there. Emiliano Viviano went to SPAL on loan last season from Sporting. you can find them. You can find them. Give a kid a chance because he's going to be a good shot stopper, and maybe he could do something more than Luis Giuseppe can because Giuseppe's horrid. But, yeah, there's my first rant of the season out of the way, and no surprise that it was aimed at Luis Giuseppe. Bruno Alves is still amazing. Udinese Milan. Udinese 1, AC Milan 0. Vito, is it okay to laugh at this?
I think it's more than okay. I think, to be honest, the laughs are probably justified because AC Milan, they brought in a new coach, Marco Giampaolo, who was at Sampdoria. We did play some good stuff on our day, but we had off days too. This in particular was an absolute disaster, and it's only round one. So when you can barely take a shot and you're meant to have this really attack-minded coach, you sometimes got to wonder, is the coach already out of his depth where the squad purchase is wrong? Or is it, again, the fan base of AC Milan just craving the old days and they're expecting miracles?
What should they expect, Kev? Because the squad isn't that strong. What is a realistic expectation from Milan this season?
Hopefully Europa League football, I think, maybe. But yeah, the squad, I can't understand why Barini's still there.
He started in midfield.
But lots of that team were who was there last year, and I think Giampaolo was brought in to get them playing better and maybe more attacking, or certainly more, to get more points on the board,
more fluid.
Yeah, and it's not happened. He's had a whole pre-season. There's not been late signings that have come in. Late into the pre-season, and everything is exacerbated, I think, because of what everybody is expecting Inter to do this year. I think if you're a Milan fan, you're constantly looking over your shoulder at thinking, could this be the year that Inter secure another title, be that club that wrestle it away from Juve, and everything's going to be multiplied 10 times when they do have a result like this, rather than give them the time to actually try and build that new approach. The problem is when he comes out after the game and says, 4-2-3-1-2. That sounds like I've got 12 players on the pitch. Maybe I have. But he says the formation doesn't work.
4-3-1-2.
And he says these players can't play this formation. It shouldn't take you one competitive game to realise that the players that you've got cannot play the formation that you want to play. You have been training with it. You have been going pre-season with it. The fact that the game that they've just played is competitive and they've lost it should not have opened his eyes to the limitations or the perceived limitations that he has of his players. And that is what would be a concern of mine.
Yeah, well, he did say that he kind of got it wrong, which is it's concerning. After one game, you'd expect him to back himself a little bit more. But if we go through the team, right, the 10 outfield players, you could argue that 7 of them are attack-minded. Ricardo Rodriguez, Lucas Paquetá, Çalhanoğlu, Borini, Suso, Piontek, and Samu Castillejo. They didn't get one shot on target. Not one. That's a joke.
No, well, yeah.
I have a feeling that noise will be said a lot about them this season.
But Milan have become a bit of a joke. Yeah, I nearly laughed when you said Ricardo Rodriguez is an attacking-minded player.
Well, he is, because he can't defend. So what else is he?
He's only defined as attack-minded because he used to take penalties for Wolfsburg. He shoots from long distances, but he's quite a sterile fullback. You barely see him overlap. Well, I did last year anyway when I watched Milan. But their left back is the root of their problem. So
he's more active when he plays for Switzerland, though. It's like some players, they play better for the country than they do for their club. I mean, for instance, I don't want to turn this into an EPL podcast, but Dejan Lovren is rubbish for your Liverpool, but for Croatia he's good. And and I think that's the same with Rodriguez. Plays well for the Swiss, but for AC Milan, he's been putrid, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He's just not very good, I suppose. But he's one of many players at Milan that just aren't very good. You go through that starting 11, there are probably about 6 of them. I think we might have Dov joining us in a minute to talk about the Sampdoria Lazio game. But let's first go to SPAL Atalanta, the second game I was at this weekend. And oh my God, Vito, this was fun. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was definitely a top game. I'll be honest, I probably thought Atalanta should have scored more than the 3 than they did. But as you mentioned earlier, Berisha had a superb game for SPAL. And Duvan Zapata, well, he had his chances, but because of Berisha and probably even due to his own inefficiency, he didn't get on the scoreboard. But his compatriot, Luis Muriel, saved Atalanta's skin with a well-taken brace, and even Muriel could have added another 2. So it was a good game all around, especially on Atalanta's part. But SPAL, when they had enough confidence to counterattack, they were good, especially that left-back Igor. When he did those step-overs for that second goal and provided the assist for Petagna, I reckon that would have brought a tear to Cristiano Ronaldo and Robinho's eye. All those step-overs, my God.
Yeah, it was funny. And the SPAL fans were kind of olaying it as it was going on, despite him entering the 6-yard box as well. It was good. He's going to be interesting this season. He'll be entertaining, and you could see him lighting it up for SPAL and getting a move somewhere in January, to be honest with you, if he keeps it up at this rate. Gasparini's mad. He's absolutely mad. Atalanta were dominating the game. It was 2-1 to SPAL, and there was still, I think, more than half an hour left. And Gasp decided to go with 2 defenders. So he took off Remo Freuler, a defensive-minded midfielder, and Andrea Mazziello for Malinowski. And who was the other player that came on? Luis Muriel. Atalanta were playing with 2 defenders. Kev, I mean, Gasparini, it worked. So we can't criticize, but this was mad.
It was, but you know, I was following the game as best I could on online, and then I sort of saw the highlights, and the game appears more, if you like, close because of how late you kind of Atalanta got their goals. But for large periods, it looked like Atalanta were dominating. And I think if you're dominating possession and the chances, you're not actually conceding that many chances at the other end. So I think you can take those risks. And obviously Gasparini trusts his players.
That's the highlight, because Atalanta were dominating it, but they were still very, very vulnerable to counterattacks. And it seemed crazy to afford SPAL even more space to counterattack into, but it worked. Someone I was very impressed by, hello Dov, we'll come to you in a minute. Someone I was very, very impressed by was Mario Pasalic, because I've been critical of him quite often. And he showed a side of his game yesterday that I've never seen from him before. When they went to the 2 centre-backs, he was more than happy to sacrifice his attacking threat. And it was him and Martin Darun who were kind of filling in as a makeshift third centre-back at times, which was nice to see from Pasalic. And there's more to his game. Luis Muriel, double on his debut. He's going to be interesting, isn't he? He'll probably be good for 6 months and then put on a lot of weight and not do too much else after that. Kind of the same things I thought about him last season at Fiorentina, to be fair. Just didn't stick around for long enough. That's all I've got to say about SPAL Atalanta. Hello, Dov Schiavone.
Hello, Conor Clancy. Hello, everybody. Hi, Kev. Hi, Vito. I'm here.
Hi, Dov.
I'm back.
Hi, Dov.
Have you got a Peroni chill?
I'm not. There's a beer in the fridge, though, that I'm choking to have. I should have really got it before I came on, but
not the same as a Peroni chill.
It's not the same. No, it's not. It's like before we got on, you know how like I've been away for 3 months away from Milan. You know how this is how long I've been away. There's a cobweb in front of the front door because it's not been opened for so long. I just noticed it when I came back there. I was like, oof.
You walk into it.
I didn't. I've seen it before, but I was like, you've been away for a long time when there are cobwebs growing at your being made at your front door. But there you go. But I'm back now. They'll be swept away soon enough.
You should just meet my wife. There's cobwebs all over our house. We're in and out of this house every day. We're another pod.
Dom, I know you well enough to know the cobweb won't be swept up before long. It's going to be there the next time I get to your house. And I don't even have plans to go to your house anytime soon. Where were you this weekend? I was at 2 games. How many were you at?
I was at 3.
Were you?
I'm tired. Can the season be finished already, Chris?
I was at 2 and I'm tired. I don't blame you. And you were in 3
Where
different
was I?
regions as
I
well. You went
was.
to
I was in
Liguria, Lombardia, and Tuscany.
Tuscany, yeah, Tuscany. So so it was Tuscany first, then Liguria, and then Lombardia.
Not to bore people, but I'm curious. How did you get from Tuscany to Genoa?
Via Milan.
No, did you?
Yeah, went home in the morning, had a shower, cleaned myself up a wee bit, and then went to Genoa.
That's a nightmare.
It's been a good week, but this is what we do at Forza Italian Football. Conor Clancy. I don't see anybody else doing things like this.
No, well, Dov, you had the message from me last night. I had the scariest experience of my Airbnb life last night.
Are you allowed to tell the people, or do you want to tell me later?
Oh no, there's nothing really to tell. It was just, yeah, I'll talk to you off air about it. It wasn't good. Sent Dov my what did I send you?
You sent me the address and said that if you don't hear from me by like tomorrow afternoon, I'm presumed dead. Tell my parents or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's forget about that. People don't care, do they? San Blasio, you were there.
I was there, yeah.
How was it?
Oh, it was good. Oh, maybe not for Vito, but yeah, it was a good game. They're redeveloping a bit of the stand there where the press box is. So it was they had like a makeshift stand on top of the stand getting developed. It's quite weird. But yeah, it was good. So like obviously it was the view was right on the pitch, so you could see everything a lot clearer than what you normally can. I was right next to the Lazio fans as well, which was interesting. And Lazio were brilliant. I was trying to think as well, like, who were the best team that I'd seen this weekend. And I'm kind of torn between Lazio and Inter, but I'm kind of almost leaning towards Lazio.
Really?
Just given the opposition, because obviously everybody was giving me crap on Twitter about, it's only Lecce Inter were playing, even though they were brilliant. But I think with Lazio away at Sampdoria is probably a bit more impressive than winning 3-0.
What was so impressive?
They just dominated. Like Sampdoria, I think the closest Sampdoria came was a back pass that Strakosha almost messed up. That was pretty much as good as it got for Sampdoria. Lazio just never looked like they were going to lose that game and never looked like they were going to concede anything. And they didn't. They were just everything was good about them. Acerbi was great at the back. Milinkovic-Savic dominated the midfield. Parolo played actually quite well as like the protection in front of the defence. Correa and Luis Alberto looked great on kind of either side when they were operating on the wings. And Ciro Immobile is, like I wrote today on Forza Italian Football, he's back to the Ciro Immobile that Lazio need to do well. He missed a couple of chances early on, but I mean the goals that he got were great. And he was just an absolute pain in the backside for Murillo the whole game. And obviously was the third one where he kind of forced them into that mistake. That's what Lazio need. And if they keep going like that, I think they could be really dangerous this season.
You mentioned Jason Murillo there. Him and Colley aren't exactly the most inspiring central defensive partnership.
To be honest, you'd expect a little bit better from him. But kind of Immobile bullied him for quite a lot of the time, which honestly I was a bit surprised at, because you would think obviously he's a Colombian international. He's been, was it Inter, then at Valencia. He was on loan at Barcelona. Obviously he didn't play, but he was still there. You would think he'd be a bit better than what he did, and he wasn't. He was rubbish.
Yeah, well, Vito, you have to leave now in a minute, so I'm just going to give you a chance to speak about this game before you do shoot off. A bit disappointed by Sampdoria?
Look, I am disappointed. Sorry, everyone, for those who are watching me. I have somehow disappeared. Okay. Apologies about that, everyone. Yes, I am certainly disappointed with the result. And although I thought Lazio's goals were due to our horrible defending, I think overall the Biancocelesti played a much better game than us. They are already familiar with Inzaghi's 3-5-2. They were slicker in the ball movement, and they played at a higher tempo than us. I think Di Francesco's tactics will take a bit of time because they're more used to Giampaolo's intricate passing game. But I also think that the squad additions probably haven't been too great, and the fiasco regarding the sell of the club, I think that's dragging on far too long. So hopefully Massimo Ferrero sells the club in the near future. Otherwise, the first half of the season is probably going to be a bit of a disaster for some.
Should it be that big of a jump from Marco Giampaolo's team or system to Eusebio Di Francesco's? Because they're not all that dissimilar.
No, I think it's more the formation. See, at the start of the game, I noticed that Gabbiadini and Caprari were probably too close to the touchlines, to the wings, and sometimes Caprari had to drop back. But as the game wore on, and once they increased the tempo some a bit, Ronaldo Vieira, he had a couple chances in the game, and Gabbiadini had about 2 chances, and that's not including a terrible free kick he took. But I think over time, if Di Francesco can utilise Gabbiadini properly, he'll probably return to that patch of form that he had in the calendar year of 2014, where he was drifting from the right wing and getting to goal-scoring positions. So I think Gabbiadini is one player that could benefit under Di Francesco, but I reckon, we definitely got to be more clinical. And even the midfield setup, I think, needs to improve a bit, because I can't see Alban Ekdal and Ronaldo Vieira coexisting in the same midfield for the remainder of the season. I think they're a bit too similar.
Work to be done at Sam, for sure. Vito,
For sure.
I'll let you go. Thank you very much for coming on with us this evening, and welcome back for the new season.
No worries. Hope to chat to you guys again, and I'll say it again, I'm looking forward to meeting all you guys in person pretty soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it too, Vito. Speak to you soon.
See you guys.
Back to you then, Dov. You were there, Ciro Immobile. Wasn't his best season last year? Is he on to kind of get back to it this season?
I think he is, 100%. The one thing I will say that annoys me about him, it happened a couple of times in the second half. Second half, it comes out wide a lot, which is fine, but nobody goes in the middle. I think there was one point there was 3 or 4 Lazio players kind of on the left side, just kind of passing that around each other, and they didn't know what to do because there's nobody in the box. Obviously, the thing they would want to do, they want to swing a ball in, and you've got Immobile, I think, with Lulic, and I think Milinkovic-Savic was kicking about there as well, and they're all kind of like going, right, you should be in the middle. What are you doing here? Like, starting off is fine, but like, give it to somebody and then get into a better position. That's maybe one thing that I would say he needs to kind of stop trying to do everything.
You and I were in Rome with our Roma and Lazio correspondent, Alistair Mackenzie, and
Our Roman reporter,
that's a much better way of putting it. And he kind of spoke about this because Immobile has this reputation as being a goal-scoring number 9, right? And that's what he does. But that's not actually what he does, because he does come into these spaces, he does drop deep, he does try to make space for others, but nobody wants to exploit the space that he creates.
Yeah, basically, if they had somebody that could do, or not could do that would do that or will do that, then I think they'd get on even better. But I think probably what he needs to do is let the other attacking kind of pair of Correa and Luis Alberto do that bit that he does, and then he can go and basically score 2 goals. Which, when they did get the 2 goals, he was the one kind of running in on towards goal and not kind of going out to the wing. Both goals came when he was going down the middle.
Yeah,
and it worked. And Correa, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, when he is, isn't he?
Well, the thing is, he's had a season with Lazio, like kind of getting more used to it. He started as well. So honestly, I think but you probably don't talk about them. Well, you don't talk about them enough, I don't think. And I think this season they'll be like they were 2 years ago, kind of challenging for 4th. If they kind of play like they did on Sunday, then they'll definitely be good. And again, it depends if Milinkovic-Savic stays as well, because he was a beast, absolutely dominated.
You've taken me where I wanted to go. Lazio for 4th is something that myself and Vieri backed last year. Kev was a little bit more hesitant to get on that bandwagon, but Kev, has this performance been enough to win you over?
Yeah, and I think Vieri converted me enough to put them in my top 4 for our predictions. But it's, look, Dov mentions Carrera. Last year I put him down as a sort of my breakthrough star, because I'd seen him not tear apart, but certainly cause Liverpool so much trouble for Sevilla, and it didn't quite didn't quite take off for him last year in Serie A, and I think if he's got that year's experience with Lazio, he looked very good at the weekend. And if he can move a bit more centrally when Immobile vacates those spaces, it can be a really good year for them. And I think I commented on, I think, one of the tweets that we put out about Immobile. I bottled saying him for Capocannonieri because I kind of just took the easy route and went with everybody else. Ronaldo.
I did the exact same thing.
But if he does continue and it actually turns into or goes back to being the striker that he was a couple of years ago, then I can see him doing it again. And Lazio stealing that fourth place maybe.
Well, it's not even that, Kev. I was looking today. I think it was like the last 11 games in Serie A that he played last season. He only scored twice. So I think he got 15 goals overall, and 10, 12 of them came in like the first half almost. So if he can kind of keep that going for a full season, then he'll get over 20 goals easily.
Was it last year that he was injured? You know, when seasons tend to don't merge now into, but there was a few games where he was on the bench for whatever reason. He was returning for injury. Yeah, but that was at the start of the year, wasn't it? I think from my.
This is where Conor Clancy needs to get on the Google and be like, Ciro Immobile injuries.
Yeah, it's not. My brain's not operating at full pace.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if his goal return correlated with maybe recovering from injury or missing some games, but he certainly has the talent to be up there again.
He has shown that. He even showed that with Torino that season a couple of years back. When did he end up finishing Capocannonieri when he had
that? Was that the joint year with Luca Toni and was there somebody else?
That was Toni and Icardi. I think was the following year. I think Immobile might have won it or been joint winner that season.
This is the problem. Our pre-seasons are so short. Everything feels like one big long season.
Yeah, well, that was the year we went as well, Kev. So
was it
2013-14? Yeah, Immobile scored twice against Inter that year in a 3-3. He took some lovely photos of the Stadio Olimpico.
He wasn't injured. I've just got his injury history up. He was injured for about 2 weeks in February, and that was it last season. He missed 3 games. So no. Answer to your question, it was it was 2015-2016 where he was injured for 49 days with Torino. He missed 7 games, but no. I think with Alistair we kind of say that he just went off kind of the boil a little bit. I kind of got a little bit of stick for criticising him a little bit as well from people. People like me. I'm stupid, but
people Lazio fans don't like us. So if we
nobody likes us.
No, but Lazio fans really don't like us. So if we criticise their players, it's worse. But Dov, anything else to say about either of the other 2 games you're at? We kind of touched on both of them. Oh, the Inter Ultras, they did a thing.
Oh, they did their choreography dedicated to Diabolic. I think I don't know. He is the Lazio ultra leader who died. I think he was a drug dealer. He wasn't a very nice guy. And Inter and Lazio are twinned. Their ultras are twins, so they had a big choreography of Diabolic, who's like some cartoon character or something like that. I don't know, or comic book thing. So they had that. It was pretty cool, to be honest. But obviously, some people took kind of they didn't really like it because of the type of guy that he is.
Because of his political leanings, I think, right?
Well, he just is politically. He just generally just not a. He's not a guy you take home to your mum. Let's just say that, right? He's not a guy you take home to your mum. So yeah, they did that. I don't know how in depth he went into the Inter Lecce game, but Inter have changed.
Yeah, well, you were very happy about them.
Everything about it is different. Like the atmosphere around the club, obviously, like in terms of like the playing staffs changed, the coaches changed, the directors changed, the mentality seems to have changed. Last season,
it was Lecce.
Yeah, no, it's Lecce. It doesn't matter, but it's like when the atmosphere around a club is as it was last season with Inter. Inter, like in games, are horrendous and looked cagey and looked like, well, they'd maybe go one ahead, but looked like they could still concede one. Today, as soon as they went ahead, you were like, yeah, this is it, finished. No chance Lecce are getting back into this. And they didn't. I think Conte was moaning about 10 minutes or something like that. Said, yeah, 10 minutes were rubbish. But apart from that, like Inter blew them apart. It's like, I think somebody said, oh, they beat Lazio 4-0 in Rome. Like, fair enough. But there were way too many games last season where Inter, right, they might have won, but it wasn't comfortable like what it was today. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to get across. But obviously Twitter is not the best conduit for doing that. People go, oh, you're an idiot. I'm like, well,
you're not allowed to think on Twitter.
Yeah, you're not allowed to think. You're not allowed to have an opinion. And well, I go to the San Siro every bloody week and I see what it's like, and you see where it's there, and you see what people are saying, and you see the atmosphere, you see the fans, you can hear them, see what they're talking about, and it's all positive. They weren't even moaning when there was the odd mistake as well. Last season they would go crazy. Oh my God, you've misplaced this pass, and they'd start moaning and booing and whatever else. Tonight they didn't.
Yeah, that is one thing that really stood out at San Siro last season, because I obviously did a few games while you were away on your skiing holidays and whatnot. But every time one misplaced pass was put forward, it was chaos.
She's like, oh, everybody goes, oh my God, their arms up in the air, and they'll shout obscenities at Spalletti and the player and everything. But today, totally different. And you can say, oh, it's Lecce or whatever. I don't care. It's different.
Do you fancy them to do something?
They'll get second or third. They're not. They're not going to
right.
win.
So it doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't matter because Juve are too good. So
Juve are very good, mate.
It's going to need Juventus to have a horrendous season, and Inter and or Napoli to have really, really good seasons.
Yeah.
Like no team can. I say maybe apart from Juve, just because they are so bad. No team can play 38 games and win every single one of them. It's impossible.
Sure. And if anyone can, it's probably Juve. Go, Kev.
I was just going to say, I touched on it last week how Conte took Juve from consecutive seventh place finishes to second. And then when you say about how much Juventus would have to implode, if you like, to lose this title, and not to move this over again to Premier League, but I do have a vested interest in Liverpool. We didn't see them turning over a 26-point deficit with City this year. But it does happen, and the teams can go on this run. So I don't know.
It's not impossible. It's just not very possible.
It's improbable. Is that the word we're looking for?
It's not improbable, but I think it's very, very, very unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know. I just need to see more from them, because obviously those problems were so close to the surface last season. I don't think they're too far away from it this time.
I'm very pleased, Dov says, about the atmosphere, though.
Yeah.
Because I got some abuse on Twitter.
Really?
Earlier in the week or late in the week, because there was one of the Italian sites flashed up the season ticket sales. I think Inter were about 40,000, and I said, oh, the Conte effect, and everybody went, oh no, Inter have always got great tickets, season ticket sales, which they have, which they always have had with Milan. But I think Milan was second with like 22,000. And that's nearly 20,000 more season tickets sold than the Milan. So unless I'm missing something, there is an indication that they're backing the coach, they're backing this new direction, and they are willing to be more positive and not boo at the first mistake. And hopefully, what Dov says reflects that.
I'll judge them after their first slip. But I do think that could be quite some time away, because they've got favourable enough fixtures coming up before the derby.
What are their fixtures, Conor Clancy? Have you got them there so we know?
They've got Cagliari away next week, then Udinese at home the following, or after the international break, and then it's the derby.
Yeah.
So they could pick up 12 points from 12.
So you'll probably see, like, after, I think, they've got Milan, Lazio, then Samp.
Yeah.
And then who's after that?
And it's that.
And then Juve. So basically, by mid-October, we'll see how good Inter are.
We'll know what they are, right? Yeah.
But if they keep going like that, honestly, brilliant. Lukaku is a baller.
When he is, yeah.
Baller. Lautaro, baller. Sensi, baller.
That's literally what I wrote in my running order is Sensi is a baller.
Ranocchia, baller. Candreva, Christ almighty, Candreva. Did you see that? What Candreva did? Candreva can't
spoke
score.
About it, though.
But Candreva doesn't score.
Shots a week, so one of them's bound to do that.
He didn't today. He took one, and it went in, top bag from 35 yards. Honestly,
Top bag.
like top bag.
Top bag. Nobody says top bag.
He forgot where he was. He thought he was on the wing and it was a cross.
Yeah.
Then he realised he was standing in front of the
goal. We said
goal.
we're not being mean to Candreva.
Do you know what it is? It's because he's shaved his beard off. That's it. He's went beardless.
I don't like
it. He does. He was doing the post-match interviews in the mix zone. It looks so weird because he's got his hair like slicked back, like properly gelled back, and he's like proper, like really like closely shaved face, but like not a bit of stubble on it. You're like, what has happened to you, Antonio?
Does that mean we're going to see a clean-shaven pod next week? And you two?
No, absolutely not.
It's going to be amazing after that. I'll go on Twitter and everybody will be like, "Oh, Dov, you know what you're talking about now."
We can't actually do it now, Dov, though, because we've been in the sun for the summer. It might not look like it, but if I shaved my beard off, I'd have a like two-colored face.
You'd be even whiter.
Yeah, believe it or not, my bottom half will be like this T-shirt. Which won't mean anything to the people not watching the video. But anyway, let's move on from that. Roma Genoa was 3 each. Interesting. Was it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's interesting. I didn't see it, but I'm going to tell you what. Kwame and Piemonte. Partnership of the season.
Piemonte is someone we want to speak about. He gives them a bit of hope, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I thought he looked really good at Frosinone last year. And as Dov mentions, when he gets alongside Kwame, they look like they could be they could get back the goals that they lost when they lost Piontek.
Oh,
I think that's what. Well, they just look so blunt up top once he left. Although Kwame did perform in fits and starts last year, but it would look really positive against Roma at the weekend. And I think the Genoa fans can just rest a little easier knowing that they've not got that real lack of goal scoring threat, which they sort of struggle with a little bit.
Yeah, well, go.
No, so like last year we spoke about Kwame quite a lot, and everybody went on about Piontek, but Kwame again, I think he's going to basically do the same with Piemonte this season. Lovely wee partnership that is.
Yeah. You'd expect even more from him this year because I was in Genoa basically every week at the start of last season when I was still living in Milan, and he was the guy that impressed me the most. And then when I stopped going, you started going, and you were saying, "Forget Piontek, it's Kwame." Like, the same conversation was being had, and he's got another year in Serie A under his belt now, so you would expect an even more impressive season from him.
The strike force is really young as well. I mean, they've got like Sanabria as well, who's only 23, and Piemonte's 20, Kwame's 21. Obviously Pandev's 100, but I mean, he's not going to play every game, and he'll get substitute appearances, but he's still a quality player, especially for Genoa to have. I was thinking again today. I was thinking because Sampdoria were really bad. I think Genoa will finish above them as well, which will be something that's not happened for a wee while.
Yeah,
it's lucky Vito's goal.
I was waiting until he went to said that. But even there, obviously they've got Radu in goals as 22, and they've got Romero, who obviously joined Juve but has been loaned back. He's only 21 as well. Barreca's 24.
Barreca's a good signing as well,
Yeah, Giglione is 22. I was looking at the ages. Like they've got a really kind of young team with the odd kind of experienced player like Shona, who's 33, Zapata, who's 32, Crescito's 32. So they've got like a few experienced players who've kind of played at top level teams, and then a whole host of kind of really talented young players. So there you go.
Elsewhere, Torino beats Sassuolo 2-1. Simone Zaza in all competitions has already scored more goals this season than he did last, which is a beautiful little statistic. Cagliari
meant one of them.
Oh, don't be mean to him. Come on, I'm trying to end this, Kev. Come on. Oh. Cagliari lost to Brescia, who won on their Serie A return. Donnarumma got the goal, not that one. And Verona and Bologna drew 1 each at the Bentegodi. Sinisa Mihajlovic, he was on the bench. He was diagnosed with leukemia, just over a month ago. He made a promise that he'd be on the bench for the first game of the season, and he was there. Huge credit to him, Dov.
He's a warrior, isn't he?
He is.
If there's one player you think, he's going to smash it, Montella's going to smash it. Mihajlovic is going to smash it. Montella's not going to smash anything. And Mihajlovic is going to smash it.
Yeah, Mihajlovic will smash anything. Montella will smash very little. Kev, do you want to send some thoughts Sinisa's way?
Yeah, I would, because I think it was really a shame for Bologna when it came out as well, because he'd done so well there. He's he's a bit Marmite with people when he takes over a club, but he transformed the team and he gets this awful diagnosis. And it was a little heart-wrenching to sort of see some of the images of him. It's clearly taken its toll. But exactly as Dov says, he's a warrior, and that he's standing there on the touchline has got to do nothing but be a positive effect on his team.
Yeah.
Whereas Maurizio Sarri has got pneumonia and he's like, he needs to stay in bed and rest up.
I thought it was Maurizio Sarri was basically coaching from the phone though, which I quite liked. He didn't want to miss anything. His assistant was saying he was really angry. He wanted to be kept in touch with everything, and he was really angry with the performance. But we won't go into that.
He wasn't just catching up on his smoking that he wasn't allowed to do at Chelsea.
Yeah, he's just eating tobacco now. That's all he's doing.
Okay.
That's why he's sick. But anyway, Kev, thank you.
My pleasure. After this is going to be cut.
I'll speak to you the week after the international break, because you're going to Argentina next week.
I'm off to Argentina.
What are you doing there, Kev?
You're
going to see Daniele De Rossi?
I'm going to hopefully see Daniele De Rossi in the Super Classico, providing I either sneak in, get press accreditation, or pay an extortionate amount for a ticket. So we will see.
FIF at the foreign big games.
Oh, Christ. It will be unfollowed en masse if we start doing that one.
I will hashtag the life out of it.
Absolutely. Dov, thank you for joining.
Wait, hold on. You forgot one. You forgot to talk about the weekend's biggest game.
Which is?
The weekend's biggest game.
Chievo.
Oh, there we go.
Forgot they existed. What did they do?
They got beat 2-1 off the...
Why have you brought that up? Why have you done that?
It's just so people know we've not forgotten about them. Medjugorje scored.
There was nothing there. I'd forgotten they got relegated.
Terrible, honestly terrible. Although what Pordenone won their first game, they're top of Serie B. I'd like to see Pordenone in Serie A. That would be great.
They beat Frosinone as well. It's a big win.
Yeah, 3-0 as well.
That would be funny.
I would only be good just because their social media is amazing. Because obviously everybody will remember when they played Inter in the Coppa Italia, and their social media guy was just getting props from everybody, and they've kept at it even now. He's brilliant. So there you go. Right, I'm done now.
Thanks, Dov.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, you know what to do, guys, by now. But for any of you new listeners listening this season, hello and welcome, by the way. But head over to ForzaItalianFootball.com during the week and on the weekends for all of your Serie A coverage. We've got news, we've got opinion pieces, we've got podcasts, we've got historical videos coming up now as well, Dov. What's this about?
I don't know, ask Vieri.
Okay, just head over.
So it's on Twitter. He did a wee video explaining it. Can I plug the podcast I did with Adam, Ogo and Nima?
You can do that.
There are podcasts which, if you're obviously listening to this, they'll be in the podcast feed just below, where I spoke to Adam Digby, Juve expert, about Juve. Just about Juve. So it's really interesting to get his take on what's going on at the club. I spoke to a former member of the parish, Ogo Silla, who's an AC Milan expert, and he was talking about how rubbish Milan are. Now they're still going to be crap, and so it happened. And then obviously Nima from SempreInter.com as well, and obviously spoke about Inter and his theories and all the things like that about Icardi and Wanda and all the stuff. But yeah, there you go. Go and listen to them because they're really interesting and not too long as well. So you can listen to them while doing something short.
Yeah, well, you've got this as the long podcast for the week. We've gone on a little bit.
Well, it's the first one back. Come on.
Yeah, I know. They like it. They love it, really. They've got 4 people. What could they ask for? I don't know what else I was saying. Yeah, read the website. We've got a lot of stuff up there from this weekend. We did well. We smashed it from the stadiums. And we've also got Instagram at Forza Italian Football, Facebook at Forza Italian Football, Twitter at Serie A FFC. So do your things over on your social media platform of preference. That's it, basically. Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you again soon. I love you all. Goodbye. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.